This weekend was the World Championships of Warhammer, and like with every large Warhammer tournament, we got a pretty big reveal along with it. This was also the last reveal of the year, and it did not disappoint at all. We got a look at the armies that are coming next year, as well as a peek at the books that are coming before the next Black Library celebration. Half of these announcements I didn't see coming, but they are definitely changing the landscape of 40k. But I'm HoodGuard, and this is your Monday Warhammer wrap-up. Let's get into it.
The Emperor's light is my torch! Death to the enemy! We shall be the end of you! Feel the might of the righteous! For the Emperor!
Alright people, let's quickly go over the couple of things that were not involved with the reveal. Even though we covered something similar last week, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the new Secret Level trailer that came out. Periodically, Amazon has been dropping a trailer for each individual episode of Secret Level. They're very short and they're just brief focuses on the individual episodes. Well, the one for Warhammer dropped this week, and it wasn't really anything that we hadn't seen before. There was one scene where it showed a boy with a really bloody face, and then they immediately show Titus after. Now, whether this is pointing at Titus's backstory or someone that he's supposed to be saving, we don't really know yet. But if there's one thing that these trailers are succeeding in doing, it's getting me hyped for the series. Just remember that the first half of this series drops on December 10th on Amazon Prime Video. The second smaller announcement is that Weta Workshop has come out with another Warhammer statue. They've previously released a Titus statue as well as an Abaddon one, but this newest one is the Imperial Living Saint, Celestine. These statues are pretty big, they're about 2 feet tall, and they're incredibly detailed. I was at the World Championships of Warhammer this past weekend and got to see these up close, and the Celestine one is phenomenal. You can even read every single word on the very long purity seals that hang from the saint. Now these are definitely for people with a little bit more cash because they're around $1,500 to $1,800, but if you're interested, there you go. Now, it's time for the reveals. This is going to be broken up into 3 different sections, one for each army that was announced, as well as one for the books. So the last time we saw the Warhammer 40k roadmap, it said that Blood Angels would be the last large release for 2024, and in 2025 we'd be getting Astra Militarum, Aeldari, and some other chaos stuff. This reveal was showing us what would be coming in that roadmap. First up, we have the Astra Militarum. They are getting a full refresh focusing on the Death Corps of Krieg. The Krieg are just one of those factions that draw a lot of people in because of their aesthetic. The whole gas mask World War I trench thing is very in right now, as you can tell with Trench Crusade. But I'm glad the Astra Militarum are getting this reboot because Cadians was starting to get a little stale. So let's look at some of these new Krieg models. We're going to begin at the top and work our way down, starting with the Lord Marshal Dreer. This is the hero model for the entire Krieg line. And it's incredible sitting on his biomechanical manufactured horse in a really epic pose. This model is going to be golden demon bait for sure. In that same mounted vein, you have the Krieg Death Riders. These might be my favorites of this line just because of the poses. All the Death Riders get power sabers and their horses are all in some type of motion. And me personally, I find that those 1 foot on the base type models really help with making your own base and having your model fit on it. I don't have to worry about where 4 legs are going to go. You of course have to fill out the ranks of your Astra Militarum army, and the combat engineers are going to be a part of that. These are the members of the Krieg regiment that are in the vanguard at the very front lines, clearing out mines and building trenches and fortifications. And my same compliment from the Death Riders goes to these combat engineers. The poses are really dynamic, none of them are just standing up straight holding a gun. And there's even a little anti-mine tank that comes with an operator. They also come with a pretty unique command squad. First of all, I don't know why the Krieg Commissar is 1, stanced up like that, and 2, drippy as hell. There's something about a gas mask and that peaked cap with the gem on it and the sash around the waist that just screams opulence, even in the grim darkness of a Krieg battlefield. This command squad also comes with a lesser commissar and even a Krieg alchemist. But I feel like the hallmark of the Guard army are the big guns. We have to remember that the Guard are just humans, zealous and determined humans, but humans nonetheless. In this refresh, the Krieg are getting a bunch of gun emplacements that are wheeled. The options look like a twin-linked autocannon, a las cannon, and even a mobile flamer. But the big prize of this set is definitely going to be the artillery team. This model comes on a 130mm base and is basically a diorama in its own right. It is a massive weapons platform, and you're even able to change out the type of artillery weapon that's used. Now, I don't play the game, so I'm not sure how this is going to pan out for the rules and guard players, but as far as painting and the sculpts go, these have been amazing. I haven't painted any guard yet because I'm a little unenthused with the Cadians, but I really do want to pick some of these up. Alright, moving on from guard is the second army that was announced. And surprisingly, it's not Space Marines, not even the Emperor's Children that were teased for next year. We got a brand new look at the refreshed Aeldari line. And not just a refresh of the models that we'd seen before, but some new models coming in. Now, a few weeks ago, we learned that Fuegan, the Phoenix Lord of the Fire Dragons, had been leaked and then later announced by Games Workshop. Little did we know that that was a peek for the larger plan for Phoenix Lords. So not only is Fuegan coming back, but so is Asurman, Baharoth, and the reveal of Lycus, the Phoenix Lord of the Warp Spiders. Every single one of these Phoenix Lords is incredibly unique looking and has a really cool pose and base. My favorite one has got to be Lycus just because the jumping out of a glowing web thing really does it for me. I even don't hate Asurman's wrist-mounted pistols. Do they make sense with the power pack that's attached to his sword? God no, but they do look cool, and that's what's most important. Now, an army is not just made up of Phoenix Lords. The Swooping Hawks, the Fire Dragons, and the Warp Spiders are all getting a refresh for their lines as well. They've made them more proportionate, and they've definitely given them better poses. You all know that I've complained a little bit in the past about how Age of Sigmar has better models than 40k. But who knew Aeldari would be the ones to come back and save 40k models? It's not something that I anticipated, but I am really glad that they chose this faction to lock in on. And if you were looking for anything Emperor's Children, just check the cover of the Aeldari Codex. You'll see Fuegan looking cool as hell, standing on top of one of the 3rd Legion. That is everything I have for models. Let's move on to the books. This is supposed to be the kind of end of the year hurrah before the big Black Library celebration in February. But I was still surprised at some of these books, and I plan on getting all of them. First up is a new Minka-esque book by Justin D. Hill. This one is called Hell's Last and continues the story of the Cadian 101st. I don't know why I was under the impression that Minka-esque was done, but I am glad to see her back in this book. It's also her first book since the release of The Fall of Cadia and Creed Ashes of Cadia, so I'm interested to see how those influence this one. For all my art nerds, we're getting another Warhammer art book. The last one that was released was the Art of the Horus Heresy book, and it basically had all of Neil Roberts' work. This one is a more expansive Art of Warhammer 40k and has over 200 pages of current artwork. And it is going right next to my Art of Horus Heresy book on my coffee table. One of the best parts about Warhammer is the art. The visuals draw you in and make you interested in this world, whether it be the tabletop or the lore. I probably have a lot of this art already up on my bookshelf on covers, but it'd be nice to have a compendium of it. The next announcement was the last book that's coming in the Dawn of Fire novel series. This has been a series that really explains and opens up the current state of 40k. From the return of Guilliman to the multitude of battles during the Indomitus Crusade, it's covered it all. So this last book will cap off this adventure, and it'll be written by Guy Haley, who also wrote the first book, Avenging Sun. But where this book differs from a lot of the previous ones is its importance. It's going to be called The Silent King, and it's really our first foray into lore about Zarek since his return. This book is also bringing back heavy hitters like Guilliman and Call, and we really haven't seen a bunch of involvement from them since the very first book. This has been a year of capping off a bunch of stories, so I'm excited that this one is being finished as well. Next up, we have some books that aren't necessarily new, but are getting some more physical copies. And that are the 2 Carcharodon novels, Red Tithe and Outer Dark. There's also a 3rd Carcharodon novel that was teased called Void Exile. If there's one Space Marine chapter outside of the First Founding and the Black Templars that I get the most questions about, it's gotta be the Carcharodons. I'm hoping this announcement will answer more of our questions about this chapter and push the Space Sharks into the forefront. And the last thing on our docket was something that was revealed, but they didn't even put in the Warhammer community articles. But there's going to be an Infantryman's Handbook that's released along with all the Krieg stuff. It'll include both the Infantryman's Uplifting Primer along with the Departamento Munitorum Handbook. So you'll be able to have both of these guard supplements in one volume, and it'll all be Krieg themed. These are perfect books for people like me who love in-universe lore explanations and guides. All these reveals did was tell me to start saving up and to get ready to hurt my wallet. And to be honest, I don't think I was disappointed by a single thing. But my friends, that's gonna about do it for this week's wrap up. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one.